Of all the places on this miserable dust bowl of a planet, Montmartre is perhaps the most tolerable. Although, in this era, I find it's lost much of its appeal. The 18th century, those were the glory days. Back then, it was a place of sheer possibility, of decadence and excess, where you could get away with anything you wanted. And I usually did. At least until he showed up.
Votre pastis, mademoiselle. Seriez-vous désormais prête à commander?
Usually, I'd be only too happy to start giving orders. But today, I'm waiting for an old friend. Ah, that sounds like him now. It's all right, everyone. Remain calm. He's a doctor. Although, judging by the look of it, might advise you all to avoid the fish. He'd made a right mess of the place. People running left, right, and centre, screaming about the portal that had opened in the bathroom. I'd never been so proud. Not that he looked at all pleased to see me, as I helped him up and dusted down his lapels. He was all, "What are you doing here?" And, "You're the reason these Turrellians are chasing me, aren't you?" I might have taken umbrage, but he does look so fetching when he's cross. Turrellians? But aren't they a race of librarians or bookkeepers or something equally as boring? "Oh no," said the doctor. "They're anything but boring." He whipped out his sonic screwdriver and gave his best action pose. I love it when he does that. "Right now," he said, all grandiose and momentous. "We're the only ones standing between the Turrellians and the complete collapse of Earth's time streams." Oh, well, the pastis wasn't up to much of it. Doctor, hurry up and save all these miserable little humans so we can get on with what's really important. That's when he gave me the eyebrows. He'd been practicing too. Today, they looked particularly severe. "Don't you get it?" he said through gritted teeth. "They keep winning. No matter which way I turn, no matter what I do, they're always there." Just like all the other dictators that have ever tried to occupy this planet. They move in, take control of the media, run a campaign of terror, and then slide effortlessly into power through whatever means necessary. Sometimes it's a military coup. Sometimes they engineer a global catastrophe. And other times it's all-out war. They're using reality-bending technology to interlace different time streams, forcing the present to snap to a succession of alternative timelines in which their invasion is successful. Oh, come on, Doctor. You've fought wars before. You know how to do what's necessary. Well, that certainly seemed to rattle his cage. "Missy, I'm asking for your help." Now, that's a rare thing. "Every time I beat them," he said, "they just dial up another alternate timeline and start all over again. I need to find a way to stop them. I can't do this alone." "Well," I said, "if it helps you get your wriggle on." ugly brutes, aren't they? I wonder what's hiding behind those masks. Now. Stop hiding your light beneath a bushel. Oh, yes, I take it back. I can see where you're coming from with the masks now. Oh, pop it back on, would you? This isn't working! He was getting grumpy now. Any minute he was going to start off on one of his lectures, giving forth on the virtues of peace, trying to reason with the monsters. I needed that like I needed the end of the world. Look, you do your thing. Get into their systems and shut it all down or whatever. I'll hold them off. Once again, he did his thing. Took control of their system, reasserted the timelines, switched everything to a timeline where he wins, because if you haven't noticed, he does like to win. Now I have to cope with Mr. Smug for the next half century. Oh, why the long face? Sad that your little game is over. It's not over, he said, performing his usual trick of sucking all the joy out of our little victory. Unless we can find a way to destroy their technology, it's just a temporary reprieve. Oh, I'll take care of that. Ooh, I do love this bit. One, two, three. Kaboom! There. Problem solved. The Doctor is never satisfied, though. I'd already saved his precious little planet, but now he wanted me to help him save a handful of useless humans, too. Well, that was invigorating. I can see now why he likes this sort of thing. But that's enough playing now. You see, the thing is, Doctor, this time, I need your help. It was a classic, a relic of another time and place. A beautiful Type 40 TARDIS. His beautiful Type 40 TARDIS. Or at least the one he'd stolen all those many moons ago. I took a deep breath as I placed my hand on the door. I loved the smell of the old machine, the gentle vibration of the wood. It reminded me of so many adventures, back when we'd both worn different faces. Back when we were different people altogether. Asking the Doctor for help wasn't something that came easily to me. In fact, the very idea of it turned my stomach. On rare occasions, though, one has to swallow one's pride. Even if it does have a tendency to stick in one's throat. It wasn't something that seemed to sit well with the Doctor either. I could tell that he thought I was up to something. Perhaps I was. But this was one of those rare moments, and we'd had a few over the years, where our interests temporarily appeared to align. Not that he knew it yet. Well, he said, with a disapproving glare. Well, I can't say I like what you've done with the place. Where are all the roundels? And the hat stand? Dear me, Doctor. Did you lose all sense of taste when you last changed your face?
Missy,
said the crotchety old spoilsport. Start talking. What's all this about? All right. all right. But you're not gonna like it. The thing is, Doctor, I finally found a place where I was happy. The planet Vartigan. A backwater paradise where no one asked any awkward questions and a wee Gallifreyan could find herself getting up to no end of mischief. You should have seen it, Doctor. The schemes I engineered. Keep your eyebrows on. I'm getting to the good stuff. I'd been there for nearly a century when the lights fell out of the sky. It was just like Pandorath during the height of that miserable old time war. Standing there, looking up at these tumbling stars, knowing what would follow, what these lights would bring. The coming of the Daleks. I was minding my own business. Well, minding someone else's business. Torturing them, if you must know, when the Daleks arrived. I couldn't believe the gall of the monstrous little pepperpots. This was my time, my planet, and here they were, trying to muscle their way in. Well, I wasn't about to stand for it, I can tell you. So I fetched out a quaint little grenade launcher I'd been saving for a special occasion and decided to show them exactly who was boss. But there were too many of them. The Vartigans never stood a chance. And I wasn't about to hang around and wait to be exterminated either. You should see what they're doing to those people, Doctor. They've been taking them into those domes for processing. First, they're plunged into tanks of some kind of amniotic gloop in which they're forcibly mutated in order to better fit inside the Dalek travel machines. It's really quite unsavory. And it does make them scream so. Next, they're wriggling little mutant bodies, or rather, the bodies of those that survive, are wired into Dalek shells, their nervous systems overloaded so that they're kept in a constant state of agony. By this point, of course, they're already being driven quite insane, so it's only a small matter to push them completely over the edge. It's the only way to survive in one of those things, to let them in, to engage with the pathweb. To start thinking like a Dalek. There's no turning back for these people, Doctor. By the time they come out of those domes, they're as much a Dalek as anything that ever left Skaro. I do enjoy seeing my enemies smited. Go on, do it some more. That's it. I'm in. I told you you should have left it to me from the start. Now, let's find out what this is all about, shall we? I can see it all. Every moment of Dalek history. Every single tiny thought. All of it encoded, processed, analysed and stored. Their entire existence documented as a living, evolving system. Oh, the chaos I could cause in here. There's a file here on you, Doctor. So tempting to take a peek. And there's little old me, too. Best avoided, I think. In my experience, it never pays to read your own reviews. Now, what's this? Ah, a ghost in the system. A festering little node of corruption nibbling away at the system from within. Freya. Ah. Sounds like a brand of carpet cleaner. It's a construct. An entity. No, its memories are unfolding. It's a child. A human child. What's it doing in the Dalek pathweb? Doctor, this can't be right. Doctor?
The planet had been designated Alpha Reticula 12. Pretty boring, really. Probably the work of some cranky old astronomer, cataloguing distant worlds from the safety of his observatory on Earth. Mum told me it didn't really have a proper name, because no one had visited it before we arrived. Of course, I was only a baby back then, but Mum and Dad decided to call it Frasier. I'm sure you can guess why. Not that I ever let it get to my head. Frasier. It had a nice ring to it, and Mum and Dad seemed to like it. They were amazing people, driven by a thirst for knowledge. They devoted their lives to understanding everything they could about that world, and along the way, teaching me everything they knew. They were there to catalogue the wonderful, varied life forms that populated this undiscovered world. Creatures that soared way up the skies, that burrowed beneath the ground, that were slowly teaching themselves to walk upright, or use tools. It was a happy childhood, growing up amongst the wildlife, seeing the natural order of things, how the creatures all fought to survive, how they adapted to their environment as the world changed around them. Times were sometimes hard, but we stuck together, and we loved one another. We were as close as three people could be, alone out there, amongst the stars. Just us, and our extended family of mining robots. My parents would often lose themselves in their studies, but I wasn't the sort to remain idle. Once I'd absorbed all the data cubes they'd brought with them from Earth, I rigged up a satellite receiver and beamed in data streams from all around the great and bountiful human empire. I filled my head with the knowledge of other worlds. I took a particular interest in robotics, and before long, I'd reconfigured one of the manufacturing robots to build me a number of customised bots. Mum and Dad were furious, of course, but when they saw what I'd achieved, they let me keep my army of little friends. I suppose they were proud of me, really, and soon enough, I was using the bots to prospect for minerals down by the beach. I love you, Mummy. And you, Daddy. I always will.
She was so young, so unspoiled.
And then one day, they came. Unannounced, unwelcome, roaring out of the sky, the only other spaceship to ever breathe the atmosphere of our beautiful little world.
Doctor? Doctor? I can't watch anymore. Unplug me. Now. Really, Doctor. I mean it. I need you to unplug me. This is torture. No! 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 Doctor, please unplug me! I don't want to see this. I can't see this. I know it's coming.
It was such a beautiful world. But I learned from an early age that beneath even the most pretty flower lurked an insect with a sting. We weren't ready for them. My parents could never have imagined the horror that came for us. They were too good, too kind. But I knew that these monsters would never stop. I'd read about them on the educational data streams I'd managed to intercept. I knew them for what they were. Daleks. So I did the only thing I could. I activated the defensive protocol I'd programmed into my bots. My robots did their job and held back the Daleks. The bots didn't slow them for long, though. The Daleks were single-minded, relentless. They wanted only to wipe us from the face of our home, to exterminate us. Dad seemed to lose it then. He just went for the Dalek, swinging one of his mining lasers like a madman. I wanted to stay with Mum, but Dad took me by the arm, dragging me away. The other Daleks were coming, and the battery pack in his laser was spent. We needed another way to stop them, to buy us some time. The only thing I could think of was the automated systems I'd wired into the habitat. If I could reprogram the system, there was a chance I could slow them down. Or even destroy them. Awesome! The habitat's control system was now under my control. I'd stopped one of them, but the other one was closing in. And then I was alone. For the first time in my life, I had no one. I was the only living soul on that entire world. The only one that wasn't a Dalek. You might as well kill me now. There's nothing left to live for. That's when I remembered the self-destruct protocol I'd programmed into the bots. They were going off like firecrackers and taking the habitat with them. But it was enough to distract the Dalek. Everything was crashing down around me. I didn't know what else to do. I turned and ran. Ha! Take that, Daleks!
When beggars die, there are no comets seen.
The pain is the thing I remember, and the numbness, both in my legs and in my heart. It all seemed so unreal, like I was waking from some terrible dream. Slowly, I opened my eyes, and I realized it was anything but a dream. It was a living nightmare. I was the only one left. Mum, Dad, they were gone. Even my bots had destroyed themselves to save me. But I was broken. In so many ways. My legs were trapped and useless. I was dying. I thought that if I could only reach the shell of that broken Dalek, I could use its life support systems to sustain me. I had to get free. And so I dug deep. I thought about Mum and Dad and what they'd say. I used their memories for strength. It's as if the memories are broken, fragmented. I must find the full picture. Awesome! The very thought of it was abhorrent, but these monsters had brought so much death, it seemed only right that I should make use of them to sustain a life. At first I felt nothing but relief. The flood of chemicals into my bloodstream, numbing the pain. I wanted only to forget, to drive away the horror of what had happened. I could feel the nutrients reinvigorating my body, my sensorium expanding as the Dalek systems reignited, with me at the helm. I felt its tendrils worming into my flesh, burrowing into me, and I embraced it, crawling deeper inside the broken shell, seeking access to more of its systems. As I plugged more cables into my body, I gained access to more and more of the network shared between these monstrous machines. Every thought they'd ever shared, since the very beginning of their race, since they were born from a crucible of violence and pain. I was awed by the sum of knowledge I now had access to, and as my body convulsed in pain, as the creature's metal became one with my flesh and blood mingled with oil, my mind expanded. I was determined to survive, to defeat these hate-filled creatures, to live on. Don't fight this! You must survive! Anything to survive, to carry your parents' legacy, whatever it takes! And then I was in. I'd become one with the Dalek pathway. As they ripped the memories from my mind, so I had to relive them. My memories had become theirs, but their memories had also become mine. I was a part of them now. But I couldn't hope to control them through the pathway alone. I quickly found ways to utilize short-range communication protocols to override nearby units. I used them to free me from the wreckage and then escort me to their ship. There was nothing left for me on Frasier, the place I had once called home. And now, I had a new purpose. I could see now that there was only one thing left to do. I had to save the universe from the Daleks. had to stop anyone else ever suffering the way I had, watching their loved ones die at the hands of these monsters. The Daleks were unstoppable, a ceaseless tide of death and destruction, intent only on the complete eradication of all other life forms in the universe. I had seen inside their minds now. I understood. The only way to save everyone was to get to them before the rest of the Daleks did, to remake them in the Daleks' own image. To make them like me. To defeat the Daleks, we had to become Daleks. And so I selected a world, and I set to work.
Doctor, we've got to stop her. She's insane. And believe me, the irony is not lost on me. She's subjugated and converted a dozen worlds already. And now she's heading for your beloved little Earth.
My mission was clear. I had only one purpose. To save the universe. To assimilate every culture, every creed. To preserve everyone I could before the Daleks obliterated them all. To defeat those monsters. The only way I knew how. By adapting. By changing. By becoming just like them. At first, those I ventured to save found it hard to understand. They could not see the beauty in it, the sacrifice they were making so that the universe might endure. But soon their fears were quelled. Soon, they learned to appreciate there is no other choice, and that to live, all must be assimilated. In the months after leaving Frasier, a succession of worlds gave way to my conversion fleet. But all the while, I knew the Daleks remained at large, still out there, still wreaking devastation across the galaxy. Time was against us. Try as I might, I could not work fast enough. I could not save everybody. And I could not save those who had already been lost. But then the annals of the Pathweb showed me the way. Out amongst the nightmare wastelands of the Alterius Drift, I found what I'd been searching for. The key to our salvation. Here, the great time war between the Daleks and the Time Lords had laid waste to an entire star system, leaving nothing but the bruised and battered husks of worlds, now long forgotten. And here, the remnants of Time Lord technology presented possibilities I could only have dreamt of back on Frasier. With time on my side, the assimilation of the universe was all but confirmed. The technology was like nothing I'd ever seen before.
Well, fancy that. She's a smart cookie, that one. If she wasn't half Dalek, she'd probably fit right in as one of your little disposables. And before you pull that stern face and ask me what I'm blathering on about, I'll tell you. The scanner is detecting Time Lord technology. She's really got into the swing of this assimilation lark. She's heading for Earth. But it's not the era you're expecting.